Ever since 1979, I've been working with teenagers and young people and adolescents. I started in 1979 working with junior high kids, and ever since then I've had different jobs and different experiences and different training and graduate studies, all these things to kind of help me do that better and do that effectively. And something that has come to mind now as I'm teaching freshmen in high school is that it's hard being an adolescent. There's a lot of reasons that it's hard. And in this video, I just want to kind of talk a little bit about that, try to give maybe some understanding. If you're a teenager watching this, kind of listen, because I want to maybe give you some encouragement. And if you're an adult who works with young people, or if you're a parent who has adolescents, just think about the things I'm going to say, because I really believe that it's tough in 2017 to be a teenager. So here's why. Adolescence is this stage of development that goes from being a kid to being an adult. So if you go back historically, if you go back, early 1800s or even mid 1800s, and in some extent, some places, the early 1900s, adolescence started around 12, and by 17 or 18, you were expected to have, kind of set your sights on adulthood and kind of be independent. I always use the illustration of Laura Ingalls. At 17 years old, she's looking for, I don't know what his name was, little Joe or Little John or something, and they moved across the hill and built their own cabin. I have relatives in my genealogy where by 17 years old they were having children. 18, 19, 20 was really common. People to be settling in and being finished with that transition. They're independent and they're on their own. Well, now in 2017, an 18-year-old, who's going to sign an apartment lease for an 18-year-old? Who's going to rent a car to an 18-year-old? So 18 is legally an adult, but socially and culturally, 18 is just a stopping point. It's just it's the moment that the first rights are granted, but it's a long way from being independent. And so the experience of adolescence has gone from being something that was 14 to 17 or 14 or 12, even let's say 12 to 19 or 20, is now 12, or even some cases earlier. Adolescence begins, let's say adolescence begins in 6th grade, and it doesn't end until somewhere well past high school. You've finally gotten a job that you can support yourself, or you've graduated college and gotten a job, or you've finished your apprenticeship in the trades, and now you're working. I know some 18-year-olds will go right into a really good job and be able to go out and more or less support themselves, but that's the rare occasion. So one of the reasons that adolescence is so frustrating is it takes so long. So physiologically, cognitively in a lot of cases, in some ways emotionally, the 15-year-old is right on the verge of being an adult, but culturally and socially, they've got another 10 years to go. And so that makes it kind of tough. That makes it kind of hard. The other thing is, the way our society has evolved is that we're asking 14-year-olds on a daily basis to make decisions that are going to follow them until they finish adolescence. And here's what I mean. So we have 9th graders who had to choose classes as 8th graders. In the classes they chose as 8th graders, and their family helped them choose them, and the guidance counselors, the classes they chose are going to go on their transcript, and those classes are going to be determinants in their college admission, or whether they go into a trade, or if they can get into the trade. And the decisions they make literally on a day-by-day basis, should I do my homework, should I turn this assignment in, which assignment should I do first, affects their grade. And daily decisions affecting their grade, and that grade is going to go on their transcript, and that transcript is going to follow them, and that's going to determine whether they get into the trade they want to go into, or can they join the Army, or do they want to go to college, what college is going to accept them. So we ask them as 8th graders to pick classes, and then we ask them as 9th graders to perform in those classes. And all of those decisions, really literally on a day-by-day basis, follow them. So adolescents, if you're watching this video and if you haven't clicked the off button by now, you got to hang in there. It's a long road, and your body and emotionally and in a lot of ways, you're right on the verge of adulthood. And 100 years ago or 200 years ago, for sure, you would have been like, man, I'm probably going to be moving over the mountain in a few years. I'm probably going down to the next town and getting a job or whatever. Yet in 2017, a couple of years from now, you're still be in high school. And if you're a senior in high school, a couple of years from now, you're going to be like in that where you're looking around going, well, now I'm ready to become an adult. I'm ready to become on my own. If you're an adult working with young people and you're still watching this video, you need to be aware of these frustrations and feelings that these kids have, and understand that the way our culture is set up, we've got to guide them and help them to make the decisions that are going to open the most opportunities up for them in the future. And it's challenging. So what I began with by saying is, I understand this is a hard phase in life and it's a lot of work. So adolescents, young folks who are watching this, you just got to hang in there. You got to make it through. You've got to make the right decisions now that are going to leave you the most options in the future. Adults who are still watching it, you got to help them. You got to understand their feelings and their frustrations of they're almost adults in some ways, but in other ways we're asking them to wait, literally in some cases another 10 years. So just hang in there and do the best you can, both those who are adults, parents, teachers, coaches, and those who are actually the teenagers themselves. I hope this video has been helpful. I don't know if it's certainly not a funny video, but I hope it's been in some way helpful. If it was, maybe hit the like button, maybe subscribe if you think there's something on this channel worth subscribing for. And thanks for watching.